Hello there, in time for the Handshake here on New Vision TV. I am Lynn Komjisha. Now, with me here is Paul Busharizi. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, I'm reading somewhere that the private sector credit has grown. Private sector credit. Do they mean has... Anyway, I don't understand. I really don't get... when I saw that statement, I was like, what is this? But then I go on to read and they say extension of credit to the private sector by commercial banks is on the trajectory with annual growth rate of 10.5% as of June 2018. Now, that makes some sense, but what does this mean?
Well, the bank lending to the private sector is an important measure. So if bank lending to the private sector is increasing, it means it could mean that businesses foresee that the economy is improving and therefore they have to build up capacity to cater for the coming demand. Or it could mean that the economy is doing well, or it's improving, and actually it's only one thing really. I think it just means that we get enough money to expand our capacity to take care of the anticipated demand.
What baffles me is, what has the private sector, where have they been getting money from?
Well, in terms of when there's a bit of stress in the economy, what a private company would do is cut back on its costs, and credit loans are one cost. So because you have to keep paying interest every month. So if the private sector or a company feels that the future is uncertain, it might not grow, or it might actually kick back on their sales, they start to cut costs. One of the costs that they cut off is credit. So therefore, when you see, that's why I say it's an indicator of how the economy is doing. If credit is increasing, then chances are that the economy is also improving. Okay,
so that's precisely what it means. Now, what is aiding this?
Well, I think there are several factors, but I think more importantly is that the cost of lending has reduced over the last 7 years, since 2011. It had shot up to beyond 20%.
Yes.
And now it's back down. I think banks are talking of base lending rates of up to 16%, which is below. So the same thing, supply and demand. If the thing is cheap, sometimes we borrow.
True.
Yeah, when the credit is expensive, we stay out of that market. When it's now coming cheaper, so that's one thing that has aided increase in credit. Not to mention that anticipation of higher demand in future, and therefore we have to increase our capacity to meet that demand.
Okay. So why are they very excited about the private sector? Why not every other sector?
The private sector is the driver of economic growth. The private sector is one which creates jobs. Governments don't create jobs. Well, maybe in Uganda where we create districts every other week, but but even those, if you think about it, those district jobs are few. If the private sector is sticking along, the other guys who create the jobs. So people watching the economies are always interested in credit, which suggests that the private sector is creating more jobs.
Oh wow, that's really good news. So the more they borrow, the more they get access to credit, the more the jobs. The more they,
economic activity. You would think that they borrow to increase their capacity.
Yes.
So that would many times mean increasing a few more, putting on a few more jobs.
Yeah, and of course that is increased economic activity.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really good news. And is it? Well, okay. We'll figure that out. It's quite interesting. If you're in the private sector, well done. Please continue creating some jobs for us, and hopefully we can manage with whatever is there. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.